Spotlight. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. I am super excited to have the opportunity to speak with our guest today. He's the CEO of Harvest Hosts, a membership program that connects RVers with unique overnight experiences at wineries, farms, breweries, museums, golf courses, churches, and other interesting destinations across the US and Canada. I would like to welcome today Joel Holland. Welcome, Joel, and thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Chrissy, thanks for having me. This is it's always fun to talk about RVing, travel, and farms. So this should be a nice
Yes.
time.
And all together, that's
All
great.
together in one spot.
Yeah. And I personally think that Harvest Host is a genius idea. It helps not only RVers explore cool places, but it also gives farmers another way to attract consumers to their farms, purchase goods, potentially create a secondary income stream for their farms, which in this time of high input costs, slow manufacturing, and unavailable parts, it would be welcome revenue source. And not to mention reaching consumers. And I think that's on the hearts of a lot of producers in this time. So, can you tell me more about Harvest House? Tell me all about it and where the idea came from.
Sure. So it's a very simple concept. I'm a very simple person, so that this works well. But we are essentially a membership club for RVers. We have 230,000 members. We're growing very
Wow.
quickly, at about 100,000 more this year. And if you own an RV, you join our club. Then you have access to over 3,000 wonderful small businesses all over North America. And that includes farms, over 1,000 farms, hundreds of wineries, breweries, distilleries, golf courses, museums, and other really unique attractions. And these locations allow our members to park overnight for free, no hookups. They just literally park for the night. And in return, our members support the small businesses that they visit. So on average, they spend about $50 a night buying the local produce, buying the wine, et cetera. And this year they'll spend over $40 million directly with our hosts. And we don't take any of that. We never charge our hosts anything to be in the program, and we don't take any cut of the revenue. So it's a really, really good program for the small businesses that we work with. And our members love it because they get these truly unique experiences parking at a gorgeous farm for the night, right? Like what's better than that? And this is at a time when RVing is more popular than ever and campgrounds are full. There's a lot of places that aren't that scenic to park, and we're trying to give them just a better experience.
Oh, that's so cool. And I was looking this up. According to Allied Market Research, agritourism was valued at over 42 million in 2019, and it's estimated to reach over 62 million by 2027. So why are people attracted to farms, wineries, and the countryside more and more these days?
This is, I think, one of the very positive outcomes of COVID, that people are falling back in love with the outdoors and with experiences. I think for a long time we were going too far down the like goods world. Like it was
Mhm.
like buy stuff, stay home. And then we were reminded because we had to be that like outside's awesome and farms are beautiful. And taking your kids to an alpaca farm to see alpacas is just a almost religious experience. People have woken up to that. And I always say there's no putting it back in the box. Like once you've gone to a farm in the fall and done a corn maze, it's
Mhm.
so cool. You're going to do it again next year. So I'm not surprised agritourism is growing. I think it's going to keep growing because there's so much beautiful farmland all over, North America. Um, and I think farmers love sharing it. So I think this is a category that keeps growing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to talk about both RVers and then the hosts, but let's talk about RVers first. So do the R do the RVers pay? They pay monthly or is it yearly?
It's just one yearly fee, and it's
Okay.
not very much. So it's $99 a year.
Oh wow. Mhm.
It's very inexpensive. And we do that intentionally because we want our members to take the money they're saving from not staying at a campground, which can be almost $100 a night.
Yeah.
And we want them to spend that with the small businesses that they visit. So if our membership fee was too high, we fear that they wouldn't spend as much with the businesses. And that's the whole spirit of the program. We'll make money by having lots of members paying one low price, but then they will spend money with our hosts so that everyone in the program's happy.
That's so cool. So are they, I don't know about the rules. Like, are they allowed to bring pets with them?
Great question. So each host gets to decide. And so
Okay.
when let's say you're a farm, um, as you're signing up, and again, it's totally free, never any fee, no contract. So it's not like you're signing up to a certain duration. You just say, hey, I want to be in the program. Let's try it and see if this works. Try it for a week, right? See if you love it.
Mhm.
Um, you can say whether or not you allow pets, as one example,
Oh, nice.
because we do have a lot of working farms where pets may not mesh well with with the animals, and that's totally fine. And then our members, when they search for hosts, if they have pets, they can actually filter by those that allow pets.
Great. And is there a set amount of time that they can stay, or do they just book whatever they need?
Great, yeah, great question. So it's 24 hours, and so that's the other thing. We tell hosts, you're just allowing them to park basically overnight. They'll come in the afternoon before you close, so they can come through the shop, go through, go to the produce wagon, whatever, take a tour, whatever the thing you're offering or selling is. They can come in, experience the product, spend a nice, pleasant evening, and then leave in the morning. So
Right.
it's just a very, a nice overnight stay.
Great. And can they use generators?
Also, a great option that hosts can decide.
Okay,
And
so it's
so,
really up to the host. That's amazing.
absolutely. And they
Yeah.
can even put hours on it. Like they can say, generator use allowed from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. or no generators allowed because it disturbs the animals. So,
Mhm.
and our members know to check for that before they, do, or they'll even ask permission if there's nothing listed.
Okay. And are there set check-in times and check-out times, or is that again up to the host?
Up to the host. But we always tell our members, arrive during business hours because many of these are operating businesses,
Mhm.
and we're trying to make this as easy on the host as possible. So we don't want people showing up in the middle of the night, and no one wants to wake up and have to deal with that. So
Yeah.
show up during operating hours, and the host actually then sets their operating hours.
Oh, great. And then I'm assuming that all reservations, everything's booked online.
Exactly. And so we have this booking system that makes it super simple. So as a host, you set your calendar, and just basically say, like, these are the days I'm available, black out any dates you want. You can let people book 30 days in advance or 90 days, like it's up to you. You can say how many spots you have. So let's say you have two. Say I have two spots.
Mhm.
Our calendaring system takes care of everything else. So our
Wow.
members go through, they see there's an opening, they click to book. Now that isn't immediately booked. It goes back to the host so they can confirm it, right? Let's say you forgot. Oh no, I have a wedding today at the farm. I forgot to black the date out. No problem. You'll get a notification. Chrissy Wozniak would like to stay with you tonight or tomorrow night. Is that okay? And then they'll see, a little bit about you, your member rating, if any other hosts have rated you, and then you can either accept or deny. And it's just
Okay.
that simple.
Wow, that's great. And then, so is it just RVs, or could somebody pull up with a car and pitch a tent?
It's just RVs, and they
Just
have to be
RVs.
self-contained. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of our promise to the host.
Yeah.
Our members are fully self-contained, meaning they're showing up with their own water, their own food, their own
Mhm.
bathroom. Uh, they will not need anything from you. They don't need any electricity. They don't need anywhere to go to facilities. They've got it all in their little box.
Perfect. And I know you touched on this a little bit before, but I'd have to guess that post COVID, this is a great option for people who just want freedom, but then like to keep maybe to themselves a little bit. And tell me about the growth of your company. Like, were you overwhelmed at the growth, or were you just in the right place at the right time, or did you have a crystal ball?
um, two out of the three.
Yeah.
No crystal ball. Uh, the growth was incredible.
Mhm.
It was, almost to the point of being overwhelming. But to the credit of our team, um, they ran with it. They
Wow.
really took the baton and ran with it. And we grew fast, right? So we went from like a few employees to over 40 employees just in a year. And so we hired very quickly. We did a $37 million fundraise last year in order to continue supporting the growth, because the program is really special. I mean, if you just Google it, right? Hosts love it, members love it. It's one of the most highly rated and regarded programs in the RV world. Um, we wanted to make sure that stayed that way, right?
Mhm.
And so we made sure that we had customer service staffed up. We had enough hosts, right? So we added over 1,000 new hosts last year, because we also added a lot of members, right? And so we
Mhm.
we never want to have we don't want to overwhelm hosts, and we don't want members ever being like, hey, I can't find a place to go. So
Yeah,
we work very hard at keeping both sides in balance.
that's cool. And now let's talk about the hosts. So, like you said, there's no cost to join, no contracts or anything.
Correct. Never,
And
never any cost.
yeah. And so, what is the average um, guest spend like at the host? Is it usually just a night, or is it a weekend, or a couple
Yep.
nights?
So they stay one night,
Mhm.
and that's all they're allowed to stay, right? Because we don't want this to become a camping program. We don't want our guests to overstay their welcome. You know,
Okay.
the hosts are kind enough to like, hey, come and stay for a day, shop in the store, buy the produce,
Mhm.
move on to the next place. And so our members can go host to host if they want. We have members that go just host,
Yeah.
but not for multiple days. On average, they spend about $50 per night.
Mhm.
We say in our code of conduct, we say spend at least 20.
Yeah.
And they, you know, but then when we survey our members and hosts, the average is more like 50. The way that then plays out, because I mentioned earlier today, about $40 million we spent by our members with hosts. On average, it's about $13,000 in additional revenue each of our hosts receive.
Wow.
But then, you know, that's the newer hosts aren't making quite as much immediately, right?
Mhm.
Some of them in more remote locations might not be as high. You know, it all depends. And
Mhm.
so I was looking through the stats of some of our farms. Um, one of our most popular is Lane Southern Orchards in Georgia, and they're a peach and pecan orchard. They've
Wow.
had over 1,000 Harvest Host guests stay with them since
Wow.
2020, and made over $60,000 in additional revenue.
That's
So
amazing.
amazing. And so
Wow.
it's a broad spectrum,
Mhm.
but the way I look at it is, you know, almost all of our hosts, they stick around, they stick with us for years
Mhm.
because it's just a great experience. Um, and if it wasn't, they'd leave, and that'd be okay, right? We always say only do this as long as it's making you happy.
Right. Yeah. So now I'm thinking a lot about uh, produce farmers and, apples and those things that sell something. But what about commodity farmers, right? So we have, corn, soybeans, and all that growing. But is it possible that they could brand their farm and sell swag like shirts and hats and things like that, or even experiences? Have you seen any of that?
Absolutely. And in fact, our host onboarding team
Mhm.
works with our farms to help them come up with products to sell, and even additional products. Like, so maybe they have a couple things that they sell, but we'll say, hey, what about an experience? Like, would you
Yeah.
be open to giving a tour? And so we have farms now, some that are like, yeah, we'll do a tour, like jump on the tractor, like take the
Mhm.
kids on a tour of the farm, $20. Like, that's awesome, you know? And so our team will work with them to try to find products to sell.
That is really great. And is there a limit on the size of farm that can participate, or is there kind of a sweet spot, or is it really diverse?
It's really diverse.
Yeah.
And again, it's, you know, it's because there's great diversity in the size of RV units, right? We have some people in really large, drivable units, 42 feet long. And then we
Mhm.
have some people in, you know, small camper vans. And so again, the host can say what size unit they can accommodate. If it's a huge farm, then there's no limits. They say 45 feet plus, wonderful.
Yeah.
And if it's a smaller area or it's an urban farm, they may say under, you know, under 25 feet. So more like a van. And then our members again, that when they search, we know their unit, and so we'll only show them the farms that they could fit.
I see. Yeah. And like you said before, there's no infrastructure that the farm has to have. They don't have to provide showers or bathrooms, electricity, none of that. But what if they want to offer those? Can they also charge for that?
Yes, yes, and so, you know, and it's funny. I feel I sound like a broken record. There's so much at the discretion of the host,
Yeah.
and so when they're signing up, they can really, they say like, you know, what types of products they offer, what types of amenities they offer. So they might say, "Oh, we have Wi-Fi, right? Or we have,
Right.
some, you know." And again, the spirit of the program is boondocking, dry camping. So our members know that really what it is going and parking somewhere with no connections. That said, some of our hosts do offer things like electricity, or water, which, you know, can be nice if it's really hot, you know, and people want to run their air conditioners. And then they can charge for it, right? And they can, it's at their discretion. You know, charge a fee for electricity, no problem.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And what if things go bad and a guest causes damage or gets hurt? What's the protection for the host?
I'm so glad you asked. We have a host protection policy, and so
Okay.
we basically have an insurance program, that covers. essentially covers the deductible. So if something happens, um, it's a $500. Like if something breaks a mailbox, breaks a fence, $500. Like fix it.
Right.
It's on us. Just submit some photos and documentation of what happened, and we will take care of it. And then if it's something bigger, like they hit the building, that the idea is a lot of people have a $500 deductible, and so
Mhm.
we try to cover the deductible until their business insurance can take over.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. And so your mission. So what is Harvest Host's mission and why do you do this? What is the why behind everything?
Totally. So we have a very like, I love our mission. Our
Yeah.
mission is to help millions of people live happier lives through road travel
Mhm.
while supporting wonderful small businesses and communities along the way. And that really, I mean, that, and we live and die by that mission because it then cascades through the whole organization. We want to help millions of people. We're currently 230,000 RVers. We want to get that to millions because there are over 11 million RV owners in the
Oh,
US. There's
no
another
way.
3 million in Canada.
Wow.
Um, we have locations in every Canadian province, every US state. So we want to expand. And then the second part of that mission, equally as important, is to support wonderful small businesses and communities along the way. And that, without the hosts, we have nothing. And we know that. And so then we have a very large team that we have a host success team that
Mm.
simply focuses on keeping our hosts happy. They're like the concierge that's there to, answer any questions, take care of any problems, they're, beck and call. And we have a host recruiting team that is out there trying to grab new hosts to introduce them to the program.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah. I've been lucky enough to talk to quite a few people in your team in the last few weeks. And I have to say, everyone is just so positive and really willing to help and give information. And they all really do believe in what you're doing. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
yeah. And can you tell me about like how did your team form? Like, was it just you at the beginning? How did this grow so fast in just a few years?
Yes. So it's an interesting backstory. So in my prior life, I was a technology entrepreneur. I'd started a video technology company on the East Coast. I was living in a city. My wife and I were just kind of burnt out on
Mhm.
concrete jungle living. Like we love the great outdoors. And so I was fortunate. I was able to sell the company and we hit the road, and bought an RV. And it was kind of an
Oh,
impulsive decision. We're like, hey, we've always like romanticized like the great American road trip. We'd
yeah.
never driven across the country. And that like felt like a quintessential experience. So we went out, bought an RV and hit the road. And we took, over the course of a couple of years, we didn't, it wasn't full time, but like over the course of a couple of years, we RV'd through all the lower 48 states. And it was a tremendous experience. Um, I fully expected along that journey to kind of like get over RVing, right? Like at a certain point, like, okay, like enough's enough. That was fun. Like, let's go back to normal life. But instead, what happened was we just fell in love with the community, with the whole concept of freedom of the open road, and all the beautiful spaces that are all over the country. And one of the things we were constantly saying as we were driving, as an example, across Kansas, we'd be like, look at all this beautiful farmland. It's so wide open. Wouldn't it be so cool to be able to just like park somewhere amongst
Yeah.
this farmland, like maybe support the farmers, and give back. Um, there should be a program that does that. And so I thought it was a novel idea. As I dug into it, there was this small program called Harvest Hosts, and it was started by a husband wife team out of Prescott, Arizona. They had taken inspiration from a program in France. So it's
Oh,
like
cool.
they had gone to Europe and done this caravanning thing where you stay at wineries and stay for free in exchange for buying bottles. So they'd been motivated by that. They brought it to the US. They'd done a great job getting the first few hundred wineries and farms on board. And I loved it. I loved the idea. And so I reached out and I just said, this is tremendous. I'm looking for my next like thing. Like
Mhm.
I can't, I'm too young to retire. I'm bored. I love RVing. Would you ever consider selling the company? And we got to know each other, ultimately purchased Harvest Host in
Mm.
2018. And and it's, to say it's been a wonderful ride would be a vast understatement. It's been incredible. But I never expected, I knew it would grow, right? Like I knew that I'd be able to grow it just based on my previous experience growing a company. Um, I just had no idea it would grow this much because I underestimated how hungry RVers were for a better way to RV.
Right.
Um, and then, of course, especially with COVID, how many small businesses were going to be kind of suffering from lack of business, and it just became the perfect thing to scale. So it's been an awesome ride.
That's amazing. And that leads right into my last question, which you really, it's I kind of have an idea of what you're going to say, but why do you personally do this? What is the thing that lights you up and gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yes, I love passion driven businesses.
Mhm.
My former one was passion driven. This one's very passion driven. It's kind of the only thing that makes sense to me. And so what gets me up in the morning, I love nature. I love farms. I love wineries. I love RVing. I love travel. To
Mhm.
get to put all that all together, right? Let me go. Here it is. It's 10:26 in the morning for me, and I just spent the last half an hour speaking with a wonderful person about RVing and farms. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
My
so
day is
cool.
so simple. So it's just a lot of fun. Um, I truly enjoy the business and the industry, and that's fortunate. I wish more people were able to do things they genuinely love, because I count myself fortunate.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, where can people learn more about either becoming a host or becoming a member or both?
Totally. So harvesthosts.com,
Mhm.
the website has all the answers. If you are a potential host, you can click the link for hosts on the top. That will give you just a very simple rundown of the program, some testimonials from farms, wineries, breweries. Like pick a category that resonates with you. Um, and then there's a short form, and that's it. You fill out a form, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and then our team will reach out. And if it fits and it all makes sense, we'll get you up on the website very quickly, and we'll let our members know. We'll put you in the next member newsletter. We'll add you to the website, we'll add you to the app, and immediately you'll have business. Immediately you'll have our
Wow.
members visiting you, and they're wonderful members. They're all they're positive. They're happy. I mean, the RV community it's a community of travelers that are just like loving life. And
Mhm.
so it's almost entirely a very positive experience. There's always the bad apple or two, but every small business owner knows that.
Yeah, for sure. The
but
4%.
yeah, totally. That some people are just having a bad day,
Yeah.
but overwhelmingly so positive. So if you have a location that has room, and this is what I say, like the only requirement is, do you have room for RVers to park overnight?
Mhm.
That's it. You don't have to provide anything other than a spot
Mhm.
and a product to sell them. And if you have those things, we would love to have you in the program. And then if you're an RVer, same thing. Go to harvesthost.com. You can learn all about the program, and you can join right on the website. Um, it's about $99 a year, and that gets you unlimited access to stay at any of our hosts anywhere in North America, overnight for free, in return for supporting the business.
Right. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Joel, for joining me today. This was really awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Chrissy. This is fun.
Yeah. And thanks to all who are watching or listening. If you want to learn more, the links are all provided in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe to North American Egg Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, Egg Fuse, and the podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a great day.